Hey everybody, my name's Mike. I'm not for Coltrane. Welcome to your Coltrane Tuesdays show for today, the 22nd day of September in the year 2020. Yes, that's right, the year that keeps on going. So here we are. We're going to do some fun stuff today, as always. We're going to start off with the latest entry in the local covers series that I've been doing. We're going to play some Not for Coltrane Stump the Band game. And as always, I'm grateful if folks can confirm that in fact the stream is working and that the visuals are going out to you and that the audio is coming out to you and all of those things, because it's not always easy for me to tell. And we're going to continue with our Coltrane Civics Corner series about my ongoing adventures to vote by mail in the general election coming up. And we're talking about things that are happening in our community and things that are coming up and all sorts of wonderful things like that. But now is a great time to get in your requests for the Not for Coltrane Stump the Band game. In case you are unfamiliar with how that works, let me give you a little overview there. Let me see if I can tell this over here. It looks like the sound and the visuals are functioning, but it's a little hard to tell. So, as always, I'm grateful for people who are live online with us to be able to give me some feedback and let me know if things are actually working the way they're supposed to. In any case, the Not for Coltrane Stump the Band game. If you've been watching the show for a while, you probably know how it works. But if you are new to the program, let me explain. People who are live online with us give me song requests, and then I have to respond to them somehow. If the song that's requested is one that I know, I will go ahead and play it. It will be unrehearsed, but I'll probably at least be able to make it through the song. If the song is one that I kind of sort of know, like I've seen other people play it or I've heard it on streaming sites and whatnot, then I will attempt to figure out how to play it right here in front of you. If I do not know the song at all, I have to make up a brand new song right here on the spot with the same name as the song that was requested, thereby technically satisfying the requirement. That is how we play the Not for Coltrane Stump the Band game. So now is a great time to get in your requests. If you're watching this, even if you're watching this on the replay, hit that share button so more people know about this and can come play with us next week. Because every Tuesday, until I get to 52 shows in a row, I'm going to be continuing this here. This is, of course, on the Not for Coltrane Facebook page as well. It is linked from Rock in the Valley. Rock in the Valley is switching up some things and how they present their videos online. But for right now, that's how this is working for Rock in the Valley. If you are coming over from Rock in the Valley, hi. Good to see you. Virtually. But yes, so I'm not sure. Still haven't gotten confirmation of other folks being able to be live with us here, but I'm going to continue to soldier on because the indications I have are that things do seem to be functioning. And so we're just going to keep on going. Today, the new song in the local covers series. Let's see. So I started off with Bronze for Birdie. Then I did one by Neil Grover. Last week I did one by the BC Combo. This week I'm doing one by the Acoustic Kitty Project. Carter Lansing, many of you know Carter Lansing. He is a small but not insignificant part of the Acoustic Kitty Project. The Acoustic Kitty Project is essentially his band, his musical project, much in the same way that mine is Not for Coltrane. His is named after cats, mine's named after a dog. It's interesting how it all fits together. This song that I'm going to play is, I was realizing that when I went to go learn how to play the song, I had seen Carter play it a bunch of times. I had a decent sense of, I bet I can figure this out. What I hadn't realized is I've actually seen Carter play this much more often than I listened to the studio version of this. So when I went back and found the studio version, like, oh wow, this is different. This is interesting. So yes, I've seen and heard Carter play this song many, many times. It is the title track of I believe, the first official Acoustic Kitty Project album. It's called Shine. It is a very sweet song, and I don't have a whole lot of sweet and romantic songs that I do. So this is a nice addition to that part of my repertoire that's a little bit weaker. As Carter often mentions, he performed this song at his wedding day for his wife, Becky. Hi, Becky, if you're watching, if you're able to see the replay or anything. So the song is Shine, one of the things that's essential for the song Shine is the harmonica. Now, I am not an award-winning harmonica player like Mr. Carter Lansing. That hasn't stopped me before, but I did run into another problem with the harmonicas. So this is the harmonica that I've been playing here on the show for a while, and I did not realize this, but harmonicas can go out of tune. That's kind of a problem because, you can't tune them the same way you tune a guitar, but I mean, if you hear, okay, that's definitely not the right note that it's supposed to be. So this was not a particularly expensive harmonica. It's from a good brand, but it was one that was, more affordable when I was looking to get new harmonicas. So I can either take it apart and try to figure out how to change the length of the reeds in order to make it to the correct pitch, or I can just get a new one. But in the meantime, what am I going to do for this song? Because the song Shine needs a harmonica. As it happens, an old harmonica that I had from when I was a kid turns out to be in the correct key. Those notes are still a little bit off, but they're not nearly as off as they are on the other harmonica. So we're going to give this a shot. I've been trying to figure out how to play the important harmonica part for this song, Shine, by Acoustic Kitty Project. Hey, we have a few more folks who are watching here with us. Hi, welcome. Go ahead and hit that, give me a comment to let me know if you can actually hear me, because, validation is always helpful. So the song is the title track from the Acoustic Kitty Project album, Shine. And since I had figured out that the chords for it were pretty straightforward, which meant that I was always vulnerable for the same thing, like, oh, I know how to play this already, and I didn't necessarily spend quite enough time preparing. I think we'll be okay. Let me know what you think. Shine by Acoustic Kitty Project. All our dreams are coming true. Firefly, night sky, lighting up for me and you. And I'm gonna love you like nobody's ever loved you now, with this crazy heart of mine. And I'm gonna love you like nobody's ever loved you, and our love turn the rain to shine. River wild, mountainside, let it be a lifelong serenade. When you smile, my bride, I see everything we made. And I'm gonna love you like nobody's ever loved you now, with this crazy heart of mine. And I'm gonna love you like nobody's ever loved you, and our love will turn the rain to shine. love with you, and our love will turn the rain to shine. Love will turn the rain to shine. Love will turn the rain, 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 the rain to shine. Here you go. Little problems there in the middle, but yeah, we'll clean it up in post. Thanks very much to Carter Lansing. Oh, hey, there it is. Becky approves. That's wonderful. Carter was able to jump in with us. Thank you very much for being here, Carter. I am grateful that you were able to see all or part or whatever part of that part of your lovely song there. So thank you very much for writing it. I will post some links afterwards to show people the some of the live versions of that as well as the studio version of that. There's a video that's floating around from the Eastern Farmers Market, I think back in 2014, of me doing a little bit of percussion while Carter does that song, and Scott Harrington's in the background doodling a little on the guitar. That was back when I had hair, before I started wearing a tie to all of my shows. So I'll post that link so people can see that as well. Let's see what we've got here. Carter says he's humbled. Well, you know what? One of the really cool things about this, Carter, you and I were having a conversation. I think it was last summer. We were sitting at we had been helping out at an event for the wildlife rescue folks up in Poconos, and we were visiting a little bit after that. And you said, you know, one of the really cool things that would help the music community come together would be if more of us were covering each other's songs. And I said, yes, we should do that. And it was something that I'd already started to doing, but thinking back on that conversation was what helped inspire this whole series. Like I was saying, I was watching Bronze for Birdie's May's performance from the show, from the Cyber Speakeasy show several weeks ago, saying, oh wow, that's an amazing song they're playing. That's a thing that I should do on my Coltrane Tuesdays show. So that inspiration from May in that moment, as well as this earlier conversation with Carter, was what led to this series that we're doing right now. So yeah, so that's my challenge to everyone who's out there who is also a local performer. Find other people you like here in the area, and like, that's a really cool song. I should learn how to play that. You could probably find recordings of it, maybe even live videos of them playing it. Figure out how to play it, and we'll spread the love around. So thanks very much to Carter for being an inspiration. See other messages here. My mom says audio and video are fine, and Carter asks if I'm trying to take his job. No, because nobody else can do what Carter Lansing does, and we all just do our own interpretations of what each other do. So thanks very much to Carter. I'm grateful for that. And I need to mention that you can go see Acoustic Kitty Project in person, because they have a show coming up live at Porter's Pub outside at the outdoor beer garden at Porter's Pub. That is from 6:30 to 9:30 1 week from this evening. So the evening of Tuesday, September 29th, Carter and the folks in Acoustic Kitty Project, I don't know who's going to be there from Acoustic Kitty Project, Carter. If you're still there and you want to throw up, post a link there and let us know who else is going to be backing you up at that particular show, that'd be cool. So go see Carter 1 week from this evening outside at Porter's Pub over in Easton, PA. That show starts at 6:30 on that day. So yeah, cool. Other fun things that are coming up. You know, first I'll give you a reminder about the Not for Coltrane Stump the Band game, which is what we're about to move into. Then while you're getting your requests in, I'll tell you about another cool thing that's happening this weekend right here in Bethlehem, Pennsylvania. But the way that the Not for Coltrane Stump the Band game works, in case you happen to miss the top of the show or you happen to miss other shows that I've done before, a quick recap of how we do the Not for Coltrane Stump the Band game. People give me a song request, and I have to respond to it. It's great if there are people who are live online with us right now who give me those song requests. It's more fun with more people. If you want to hit that share button and let more people get in their song requests, that's great. We may just do one round today. If there's a lot of people online with requests, maybe we'll go a little bit longer. We'll find out. The way it works, people give me song requests and then I have to respond to them. If the song that is requested is one that I know, then I will go ahead and play it. I will not have rehearsed it, but it probably will sound okay. If the song is one that I kind of sort of know, like I've seen Carter play Shine a whole bunch of times, so I've never actually played it myself, I will then try to figure out how to play it here in front of you without any help except for what people give me in the comments. If I do not know the song at all, then I have to make up a new song right here on the spot with the same name as the song that was requested, thereby technically satisfying the requirement. That is how we play the Not for Coltrane Stump the Band game. Please get me your song requests. And if I do have a backup plan if we don't have any live requests, but Carter, if you're still there, by all means, you and Becky can give me a song request and see how that goes. But I also want to let folks know about another cool event that's happening this weekend. Many of you know that I often talk about things happening at Touchstone Theater here in Bethlehem. I haven't been doing a whole lot of that these past couple of weeks. There's been lots of stuff going on. In fact, there's been lots of stuff going on over at Touchstone. Many of you may remember last year we did a project called Festival UnBound, which was 10 days of theater and dance and conversation and all sorts of cool events. Festival UnBound is happening again right now, but it's not happening exactly the same way because COVID, and also because we wanted to sort of switch things up a little bit. So the folks who were putting this all together and organizing it came up with this idea that there are shows every weekend, and it started several weeks ago, and they're continuing through the better part of October. Every weekend over at Touchstone, one or two events, or two events last weekend, in fact. These shows are outside. The tables and chairs are 6 feet apart. So it's an effort to make it as safe and as clean as possible. But in addition to that, many of these events are live streamed as well. And so I'm very excited about the event coming up this Saturday. The event is called Aloud. This Saturday, September 26th, the event starts at 8 p.m. It's called Aloud, and it is about, for folks who are LGBTQ, actually Adam Ercolani is one of the Master of Fine Arts students who is working with folks at Touchstone as well as Moravian College. He has been working at Touchstone since a year ago and is going to be coming up on a thesis very soon. He's put together this very cool presentation with, he writes, LGBTQIA plus people often feel trapped and restricted by their surroundings and circumstance. How can artistic creation and performance allow us to process and understand our identities in a new way? And it's especially, I think, focused on young people coming to understand their identity and figure out how to communicate who they are to the wider world, and how all of us, whether we are LGBTQ ourselves or not, can respect and appreciate them as human beings. How can we find ways to respect all other human beings and interact with each other that way with respect and understanding? I'm very, very excited about this event coming up. And like I say, it is going to be live streamed. I've been doing the production for the live streams that Touchstone has been doing for this year's Festival UnBound. So if, say, you're in a high-risk group for COVID and it doesn't feel safe to be outside the house, maybe you have limitations on your childcare and it's difficult to get away for a whole evening. Maybe you have mobility challenges. Maybe you just don't live in the Lehigh Valley. There's still all sorts of ways for you to check out these cool events online and even to participate in some cases if there's a chance for you to interact and perhaps post questions that the performers or presenters will respond to. So go check out touchstone.org, check out festivalunbound.com, look for information about Aloud, which is the event coming up this Saturday. So, let's see. All right, let's see. So we do have a request. We've got spam coming up as well, which is not ideal, but that's okay. Art Charlton, many of you know him from the Big Easy Easton Brass. Yes, he plays trombone with the Big Easy Easton Brass. Art writes, something for the first day of autumn. Autumn leaves, harvest moon, the leaves that are green. I should choose? Well, a good idea and an excellent suggestion. And I don't know any of those songs. So we're going to see how this goes. I feel like I kind of sort of know, like I've heard Autumn Leaves before, but I can't even, I like have like a half remembered bit of the melody in my mind. So, all right, so what I'm going to try to do is come up with a brand new song that might reference Autumn Leaves, Harvest Moon, and if I can, also fit in the idea about the leaves that are green. Let's see. So it would be something that's kind of contemplative. Let's see. What key would I do this in? Maybe something. Not really feeling the inspiration just yet. I've got to. Have some ideas for chords. I'm going for something jazzy. It may end up sounding more reggae-like, which would not be really appropriate for autumn, but we're gonna make it work. Okay, so any other ideas? So Autumn Leaves, Harvest Moon, the leaves that are green. I'm probably going to do a song about, it's going to have like a generic kind of relationship narrative because those are relatively easy to write because, cliche. Hey, all right. I think Autumn Leaves, actually, the song has some of that aspect of it too, although I'm not 100% certain. But, okay, we're talking about, like, it's getting cold, there's a chill in the air, and you're not here by my side. Leaves are starting, we've got, things are cold and things are changing, but there's also a brilliance and a crispness and okay, so I don't know where this is going to go, but you'll find out at the same time I do. Autumn leaves starting to turn. The leaves that were green will all soon learn that they will light up in a display of colors. They will be so bright, brighter than each other. Autumn leaves under a harvest moon. Autumn leaves, but would you believe, 'cause you're not with me, that's not how it seems. The air gets cold, the sun goes down, the lights light up, but you're not around. I stand out here underneath these autumn leaves. I don't think that's everything that we believe. These autumn leaves. You've been gone, I've been all alone in this old house, here all alone. I find myself thinking way back when we were here together. We had some good fun then. That's not how things are here now. All around, those autumn leaves are falling down. Those autumn leaves. Autumn leaves. Ba-da-ba-ba-ba-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da. Someday I'll find my way back to where I belong. Until then, I'll just sit here and sing this song with my autumn leaves. Autumn leaves. With my autumn leaves. Autumn leaves, yes, those are my autumn leaves. Better go and get my rake for these autumn leaves. Don't forget to make sure they're composted. These autumn leaves. That is definitely not the song that Art had in mind, but I like to point out that I did incorporate not only autumn leaves, but also harvest moon and the leaves that are green or the leaves that were green or something like that. So thanks very much to Art for that request. I am grateful. All right, so we're gonna leave that there for right now. I feel pretty okay about how that turned out. That is more coherent than a lot of songs that I tend to improvise, even with the sort of scat bop doo bop thing in the middle for as a bit of a bridge. Yes, thank you, Art. I feel pretty good about that. Art says impressive spur of the moment songwriting. So yeah, I'm grateful. I feel pretty okay about that. So on to the not for Coltrane, or on to the Coltrane Civics Corner, where I've been talking about these past several weeks about how I am working on voting by mail and hopefully working on answering some of your questions about voting by mail. Last week I mentioned that the reason that the mail-in ballots here in Pennsylvania have not started going out was because of a lawsuit. So first let me back up and say that you can in fact register to vote by mail. You can register online to vote by mail. You can go to votespa.com. I have a card here somewhere that says votespa.com, and I don't know where it is. Well, but votespa.com will take you to a website where you can find out all the details. You can verify that you are registered to vote, which is the first step that I took. Then you can also apply to vote by mail, or as I found out, I was already registered to vote by mail because that's the box that I had checked off back when I registered to vote by mail in the primary back in the spring. It wasn't the before times, but it was before now. And so the ballots were supposed to be starting to go out by mail last week. They were held up by a lawsuit over whether the Green Party candidates should be on the ballot. And like I said last week, everybody in this lawsuit, I feel like is not good. There is not a good position in this lawsuit, and I'm irritated with all the people who were involved in this lawsuit. On the Democratic side, there were folks who were not acting strictly speaking on behalf of Pennsylvania's Democratic Party, but clearly had connections to Pennsylvania's Democratic Party, who said, no, the Green Party should not be on the ballot because they didn't have their act together and didn't meet all the filing deadlines the way they were supposed to. And the fact that the Democrats, and like I said last week, the fact that the Democrats are, it's literally anti-democratic. It is literally taking choice away from people. And I think it does not reflect well on the way that the Democrats, it shows a lack of faith in their ability to persuade people. It shows a lack of faith in their candidate and in their argument. And all of that is bad. And as the Green Party was saying, look, this is just about taking people's choice away. And there's absolutely truth to that. And I'm mad at the Green Party here. Because the whole reason this is an issue is because they will let it go right down to the wire in terms of make sure their candidate was on the ballot. As I mentioned last time, there's an issue of they put a candidate on the ballot, then they said, no, wait, we want someone else to go in. That apparently, and it looks like I misunderstood, that may not really have been the issue in the lawsuit. I imagine there are certain things with parties put a placeholder candidate on the ballot and then primaries get worked out and fine. The specific issue for this particular case was that even for getting their placeholder candidates online, they weren't meeting the deadline. If I understand correctly, the candidate for vice president entirely missed the deadline, and the placeholder candidate for president was faxing the application on the day it was due, and part of the paperwork that was supposed to be there in order to get that placeholder candidate on the ballot to represent the Green Party on the ballot here in Pennsylvania, it got lost in the shuffle or wasn't where it was supposed to be at the correct time and that sort of thing, which is just a mess. Green Party, if you want to present yourself as a viable political alternative, you need to have your act together. Plenty of Americans, millions of Americans, have to pay bills on time, have to file taxes on time, have to do all sorts of things on time. The idea of saying, hey, maybe file this a week in advance, a couple of days in advance, then this wouldn't have been an issue. So, like I say, I'm frustrated with everybody on both from the Democratic side and from the Green Party side in this, and I think everybody can do better. That said, so what ended up happening with that is the Pennsylvania Supreme Court, this information came out late last week, I think it was Thursday of last week. The Pennsylvania Supreme Court said, nope, the Green Party did not have its stuff on time, so Green Party not on the ballot. Democrats are happy. I think nobody should be particularly happy about this. It is what it is. The Supreme Court also, Pennsylvania Supreme Court also made two other important election rulings that day, or that were announced that day. One of them says that mail-in ballots are, let's see if I can find this here. This is from CNN's website. One of the more significant changes set by the court on Thursday is allowing election officials to count absentee ballots received up to 3 days after the election if they are postmarked by Election Day. The change means thousands of Pennsylvanians whose votes would have been rejected for arriving after Election Day will now be counted. The paperwork on your ballot, when your mail-in ballot, your absentee ballot, either way, it's going to say this needs to be in the election office by the deadline. The postmark is not the issue. This ruling says, well, okay, if it was postmarked early enough, it should still count. I would recommend don't get caught in the Green Party situation here. Do it early. Do it at least 2 weeks before Election Day. Make sure that your ballot is in the mail at least 2 weeks before Election Day. The post office is saying make sure they're in the mail by the 27th of October. 15th of October. Aim for the 15th of October to get your ballot in the mail no later than that. So then even if you do miss the deadline, your self-imposed deadline of October 15th, there's still time to get your ballot there. You want your ballot to be there as early as possible so that those overworked, understaffed election workers can run your mail-in ballot through the Scantron machine, essentially, and have as many of the election results as possible that night. Because we all know that there are people who want the ballots to stop being counted as soon as possible. People who would say, no, even though Pennsylvania has this ruling now that says we can accept them up to 3 days late, we're going to stop counting them on the 4th of November instead of letting them go for 3 days. Let's not let that be an issue. Let's learn from the Green Party's mistakes here. Let's make sure we get our stuff together and get it in early. forget on time. A wise person once said to me, there is no on time. You're either early or you're late. You're never on time. You're either early or you're late. So let's aim to be early. Let's aim to participate in our democracy by making sure that we get in our ballots early, or that we have a plan to vote in person on election day. Choose one or the other. Make sure you have that. You have that together. This has been a rough week for a lot of people. Let's see if my audio is still going. This has been a really rough week for a lot of people, and of course we lost United States Supreme Court Justice Ruth Bader Ginsburg just a couple of days ago, and that hit a lot of people very, very hard. And obviously we are dealing with a lot of political aftermath of that, which is frustrating, and it is like, what else are we going to have to deal with during this year? We already had more than enough. What else do we need to deal with now? And now we have a fight over the Supreme Court. And I've been thinking about what I would say to address that or to respond to that, and knowing that my little platform here with its tiny little audience is very small. But any of us who have any kind of platform, how are we all obligated to use that? To me, it's the bigger issue. It's not just this Supreme Court fight. It is the fact that there are people in charge who are, it's just about power. It's not about what you say or what you said 4 years ago. It's all about what I can do and what I can get away with and how I can benefit myself. And it's not exclusively one party that does that, but recently it's certainly felt like one party has been very focused on that particular message of, I'm going to do whatever I possibly can, I'm going to exercise every bit of power that I can for my own purposes. And that's frustrating, and that's demoralizing, and it's difficult to keep waking up every morning and say, yeah, it's worth continuing to fight. So I think for my view, it keeps coming back to this idea about the people. Fundamentally, the idea, probably the most basic idea that this country was founded on, was that the right to govern derives from the consent of the governed. It is not divine right. It is not arcane rules. It is not how someone happened to be born. It's not arbitrary restrictions that determine who gets to hold power. It is the people who get to decide who holds the power. That is the most important thing. It says, we the people make up this government. We the people have established this government to serve the interests of all of us as well as it possibly can. And to me, that's where the focus is. I want to focus on the people. I don't want to... We need people who are focused on and looking at what the people in power are doing, but ultimately the people in power are able to do that because there are enough people like you and me, our neighbors out there, who support what they're doing. And that's really what it comes down to. So I think that manifests in two ways. One of them is we as people need to be engaged with our government. The government isn't something that just happens over there and other people make arbitrary decisions and we just have to live by them. No, they get their power from us. And that happens when we show up to vote. That happens when we keep engaging with the people who are there representing us, either in a legislature or as executives in the governor's mansion or at the White House, that we continue to show up and hold them accountable and say, I think what you're doing is great, or I think what you're doing is wrong, or I think what you're doing is fine, but you've lost sight of this other issue over here that's really, really important, and I want to draw your attention back to that. All of us, as people, as the people of this country, have to engage with that. And the other key part of that is, how do we talk to each other as people? How do we engage with everyone else who is around us? I think, and I've been saying this for a long time, the thing that all of us Americans have in common, and it's only gotten more and more true, is that we are all terrified. We are all living in fear. We are all, and that fear so often transmutes into anger. And we are all terrified of what this country is becoming. We have very different aspects of what specifically is terrifying us, depending on our political views and our social views. But we're all terrified. And many of us, and what's really frustrating is that there are leaders who are intent on weaponizing that fear and exploiting that fear and increasing that fear. And not just leaders, they're, thought leaders and people in the media who are focused on ratcheting up that fear. And so for all of us, how do we respond to that? How do we respond with something else? And for me, what else we respond to, or what we respond with, is compassion. What are the things that I can do in my own life that are going to help? They're going to help the people around me. The fear is valid. The fear is understandable. The anger is valid. The anger is understandable. And then what do we do with it? How do we, do we respond to it in a way that just leads to more fear and more anger? Or do we respond to it in a way that actually helps anyone, helps people around us? How do we interject respectfully with people who, as far as we're understanding, may not have a full picture? How do we engage with our neighbors in a way that respects their intelligence and their agency, understanding that they're operating from a place of fear too? How do we find common ground with people? I was thinking about what to say here and realized that we have so many great examples here in this country of people, of black people, who for centuries lived in fear and oppression, and in some ways still continue to live in fear and oppression, and that there were, people who were living here long before anybody of European descent showed up, who had their entire world ripped apart violently. There's so many people who have been hurt and marginalized in all sorts of ways, but who continue to show up and continue to find ways to keep putting one foot in front of the other and fighting for what is important. And that's really inspiring. And so for those of us who have any kind of privilege to look at that example and say, wow, these are people through no fault of their own were put in just unimaginable situations, and yet there were people who managed to respond to that with something other than fear, who responded with hope, who found a way to move forward. I think that's really, really impressive, and it's just such a powerful example for all of us. And yeah. So how do we continue to move forward? How do we find a way to do that? I think there's nothing inevitable about justice. There's nothing inevitable about good guys winning. Justice and fairness only happens when we as a people stand up and fight for it. And that's what I'm going to leave us with today. Several weeks ago, our longtime friend of the show, Leon Bonham, dropped by and said, hey, you should play We Shall Overcome. And I hadn't rehearsed it going into it. We Shall Overcome is a song that I've played multiple times on this program. I sang it in response to the murder of George Floyd several weeks ago. It is ultimately a song of hope. It is a song, obviously, with deep roots in the civil rights movement. It is one that I think speaks very much to this moment that we are in. And so if my audio is still working, which it appears to be at the moment, I'm going to give it a shot. If you are at a spot where you can sing along with this, by all means, please do. This is an arrangement I came up with a little while ago for We Shall Overcome. Sing this in the people's key of B flat to make it easy to sing. We shall overcome. We shall overcome. my favorite stories about this song. You know, Pete Seeger said the best words of the song were written in Montgomery, Alabama. You know what those words are? Those words are, we are not afraid. We are not afraid. Pete stood up and said, you know, we all are afraid. We all have times when we are afraid, when things seem hopeless and overwhelming, and yet we still stand up. We still stand up and we sing. We are not afraid. We are not afraid. We are not afraid today. Oh, deep in my heart, I do believe we shall overcome. And that is what I will leave you with here today. Thank you very, very much to everyone who's been watching. Thank you to everyone who watches the replay, everyone who clicks that like button and that share button. Thanks very much to Art for his request. Thanks very much to Carter and Becky for watching, and to Carter for writing the great song that I started off with. I don't know who I'm going to be covering next week, but tune in and find out. And if you have a recommendation, leave a note in the comments there of somebody that you think who's here, especially if it's someone here in Lehigh Valley, whose music that you think is awesome and that I might not know about and that I should learn more about. My name is Mike. I'm not for Coltrane. Please take care of yourselves. Take care of each other. And I will see you right here in this space 1 week from today. Talk to you then.